All right, we'll head back to Lower Manhattan now, where the prosecution's star witness has taken the stand, former Trump attorney Michael Cohen, detailing his relationship with his ex-boss. America's Newsroom co-anchor Bill Hemmer, at the conclusion of his show, ran down to the courthouse. He is joining us live from there, as we do anticipate court will resume a short time from now. You're outside the courtroom. You're going to be inside that courtroom shortly, Bill. But your thoughts so far as you've been covering this through the day?
Big media circus down here, and it's been this way for a month, and I could go into detail a bit later on that, but you've got, a dozen and a half TV trucks that have been parked out here for the last month. Here's what I think right now. My initial impression is it's the toughest ticket in town. It's more difficult than the Rangers. It's more difficult than the New York Knicks. There's only a couple dozen seats inside that courtroom. So what we've tried to do over the coming week is get a bit of an alternate a little bit between our colleagues to get inside and get a little taste for what's happening inside that courtroom. And when I see you in the 4 o'clock hour, Sandra, I will be able to deliver that to you. What I think is significant thus far today is this. Today is Michael Cohen's day. Michael Cohen, in all likelihood, is going to be on that stand all day today and probably into Tuesday as well before you get to any sort of cross-examination. Lydia Hu, my colleague from Fox Business, was just telling me that he's speaking very slowly. It's very deliberate, and therefore this is a long day and will be a long process. Now, a couple things to keep in mind about Michael Cohen. Remember, he pled guilty to lying to Congress. He served 3 years in prison. He pled guilty to 8 criminal counts, including unlawful campaign contributions. That's his background, all right? Go back to 2017, early after that election. Michael Cohen wanted to go to Washington, D.C. He was talking about being the chief of staff under President Trump. He was talking about being an attorney general under President Trump. None of that happened because Donald Trump left Michael Cohen back in New York City. Washington was not in his future. When Trump's attorneys get their opportunity, you're going to hear a lot more about that. In the meantime, that one stinging remark there toward the end, right before lunch break, is hanging, I have to think, in the minds of the jurors. When Cohen said, Trump said, this is going to be a disaster for the campaign. Women are going to hate me. It'll be interesting to see how his lawyers pick up on that point, and then how Trump counters that, not just today, but throughout the week, Sandra.
Well, it'll be interesting, Bill, as well, to know if the jury believes a word that comes out of his mouth. Because let's go back to February 27th, 2019, when he was appearing before a House committee, and he said the following: I did things, and I acted improperly at times at Mr. Trump's behest. I blindly followed his demands. My loyalty to Mr. Trump has cost me everything. I've acknowledged my own mistakes, and I have owned up to them publicly and under oath. I'm sorry for my lies and lying to Congress. And then, another hearing, or I guess it was the same hearing, Jim Jordan says to him, you wanted to work at the White House. You didn't get brought to the dance. Cohen says, I was extremely proud to be personal attorney to the President of the United States of America. I did not want to go to the White House. I was offered jobs, and yet we've learned in the course of this trial that he was beside himself, upset that he didn't get brought to Washington. So what's the jury going to believe here?
Yeah, it's a great question, John, and it will be up to them to tell us in the end. I think another important aspect of this trial developed today. Alan Weisselberg was Trump's accountant for decades. He's serving his second prison term at Rikers Island Prison out by LaGuardia. It was thought that Weisselberg may or may not be able to corroborate Cohen's testimony. Well, when court opened earlier today, and remember last Friday afternoon, just to update you, the judge was asking about Weisselberg and maybe he should be called as a witness. That has not happened. And when the judge deferred earlier today on admitting some of the evidence about Weisselberg's agreement that he reached with the Trump Organization when he left working for Donald Trump, he said that will be inadmissible, meaning it will not be entered into this case. I find that very significant because if that remains, John, if there's no Weisselberg, if there's no separation agreement that's entered into this case, you will only have Michael Cohen's word against Donald Trump. and the entire trial will rest on that.
All right, so Hemmer, set up the next few hours for us. You'll head back into the courtroom. Trump's expected to head back in there around 2
Yes.
o'clock. Court is expected to resume around that time. We do think things will wrap around 4:30. We do expect the former president will speak, as he often has, I think every time he has, as he's departing the courthouse. So set up for us your expectations for the afternoon, and we'll see you later, too.
Okay, so 2 o'clock, you're exactly right about that. We'll head in about 15 minutes earlier. Security is very tight, as you would expect in a trial on a story like this. We will go for 2.5 hours, and we'll see where Cohen's lawyers pick up the case once that happens. I would expect Trump to talk yet again, then he'll head back to Fifth Avenue in Midtown. What happens after that, Sandra, really is anybody's guess. I'm thinking at the moment, Stormy Daniels on the stand for about 7 hours and 30 minutes. I think Cohen will well exceed that once you get to the cross-examination. Then I think you have to ask yourself, who's left on the witness stand after that? After Michael Cohen. It's anybody's guess. At the end of last week, we had people who were working on books, etc., from 6-7 years ago, working in the White House from 6-7 years ago. I don't know who else the state may call, but maybe toward the latter half of this week, the state will rest. It's possible as of this moment now, Monday afternoon.
One of the things he's going to have to reconcile is that back in 2018, when all of this happened, he told me and the New York Times and anybody else who was willing to listen to him that he never got paid back for the Stormy Daniels payment. And now he's going to tell the court that it was all a fraud to cover up the payments. We'll see. Bill, congratulations on getting the big
Might be a tough way to go.
All right, we'll talk to you
He's
later.
always where the action is, right?
Great to be with you.